We're live.
Hello, everyone. Are we live? I don't see.
Hi, Matilda.
We are live.
Yeah, we are live.
Okay, 1 second. Oh, oh.
Hi everybody, today we have Carla on our right hand side with Wonder and Wellbeing. We have Nelson, Invested in America, sorry his taglines are up there. And we have Victor here with Diaspora Entrepreneurs podcast, and myself, Simon Rushton with Africa Invested Stories. Carla will be joining us shortly with her Matilda. Matilda will be joining us shortly with Matilda.
Sorry, I got disconnected. So welcome, everyone.
Introduce everybody. If you can just start from there, please.
Yeah, welcome everyone to the Podcasters Unleashed. This is weekly live stream with group of podcasters from different parts of the world, with real podcasters, real stories, and real topics. And this week we'll be talking about war and conflict, specifically about Armenia and Azerbaijan right now. And did you guys introduce?
Yes, we've done that.
Okay. So I'm Armenian from Iran, so this topic is very close to my heart, and I'm very happy that, that you guys are helping me to hopefully bring some light to what's happening in this part of the world, what's happening to our fellow humans. And I hope we can raise awareness and stop some misinformation about it, because some of the world leaders are continuing to be silent. So I'm going to ask you the first question. What comes to your mind when we say war and conflict? And what is your relation with war? Like, have you even experienced it? And how? So maybe we can start with Carla.
So I think war is not something new. As long as we've had more than one human being, we've had war. And it's something that we've all been affected by, even if we haven't experienced it directly. I think that we suffer the effects of it. Our ancestors suffered the effects of it. Some of us are here as a result of wars, maybe even, and the displacement of people that happens as part of those wars. And I think they happen on big scale between countries. They happen in communities. We have, countries where there are wars that have been happening for years that are also maybe hidden, or don't get as much publicity. And I think we have wars inside of ourselves as well, with, different parts of ourselves and, dualities and conflicts that we experience on an individual basis. And I think that has a lot to do with what happens in the bigger picture as well. So those are just my initial, thoughts and experience.
And also, Carla, you worked with children from war that were affected by war, yes?
Yeah, I have. My first experience with a child that had been affected with war was a shock for me, actually. It was when I was working in the UK many, many years ago when I first started teaching. And there was a girl who had been affected by the civil wars in Somalia. And she had never been to school. She was an orphan. And when she arrived in our school, what we'd heard about her is that she had been, her whole family had been killed. And she was the only survivor when her village, was attacked. And she was in the arms of her mother when her mother was killed. And that they thought, the people who attacked her family thought that she'd also been killed, but she didn't. She survived. And she ended up as an infant all the way into London, where she had a relative. And then from London, she found her way to the East Midlands, where I was working. And this girl was just the sweetest, most joyful child I've ever seen in my life. You would not believe that she'd had that kind of childhood or that kind of beginning. And she sticks with me because I always think of how she reacted to running water. She loved school because she'd never been to school or had any experience. but she loved the idea of just running the tap. So we had to watch her and keep her away from the water, because she'd just keep running to the tap all the time and turning the tap on and just watching the water run. Just playing in the running water and washing her face and drinking and just like giggling with just like this joy that you only hear from a child. So that's the first experience I had with a child from a war zone. And I've had others over the years. I had some when I was working in Qatar as well, boys that had been involved in wars throughout, you know, and been in conflicts in different countries in Africa and things like that over the years. And they were all affected in different ways. Some of them are very withdrawn. I think it affects boys and girls differently, and also it affects children at different ages differently, and also the individual experiences as well, and what's actually happened to them. Some children that we work with in schools we don't know exactly what's happened, and we never find out actually, because they don't talk either.
Very interesting. So I think that throughout our conversation, I would like to come back to you and understand what happens to what is the effect of it to the children. So I will go back to you, Carla, about it. Let's go to Nelson. Have you had experience with war?
Excuse me. Yeah. Yes. I mean, it's a kind of a yes/no question. So yeah, I have had. I was in the first Gulf War. I was in the second Gulf War. I've been in every conflict the United States has had since 1991. To include in other places as well. I was also supposed to be at the World Trade Center 9/11. I was supposed to be doing a presentation at that day. By a fluke of nature, I wasn't there, so I would have been, I guess, a civilian casualty of a terrorist attack. So yeah, I would have been a civilian casualty of a terrorist attack there. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. Well, you have a lot of experience with war. What about you, Victor? Have you had any experience with war, and what is your relation with war?
Hi, Matilda.
Hi.
No, I've not been directly affected by war. I've not been related to war, but conflict, not directly as well. But some parts of a couple of years ago, some part of the Niger Delta region, which is in Nigeria, they had some conflicts long time ago. So whereby cities and smaller towns and villages were dispersed because of the oil conflicts there. So, and this was years ago. So, but I wasn't directly affected. None of my relatives also was affected, but I know friends who went to boarding house together in the 80s, yeah, who were directly affected because they came from a riverine area. Their homes, houses were burnt, so because of the conflicts. And the effects of war, it's so devastating, like what Carla said with that kid. See, death is like the tip of the iceberg when it comes to war, because the long-term effect is it's so profound. So I've never been in any war situation before. So I would really enjoy this conversation today.
But Nelson, listen, it's fascinating where you are right now. I mean, you usually live in UK, in London, I think, but right now you're in Nigeria, and I mean, I'm watching the news, and it's crazy things happening there. So maybe you should have a podcast about it, so we can be aware of it, exactly the details of it, because it's like, wow.
Yeah, I would love to do talk about it. Even though that's not my niche, but it is. Conflict affects so many areas of the social, economic, the family life, just our day-to-day harmonization. Conflicts affect that seriously, even our heritage as well. people getting dispersed from one community to the next, people becoming homeless, moving to IDP camps, becoming refugees in their own country, even going as far as from Nigeria to Europe or the America. Why? Because of war and the effects that it had. So, what is happening in Nigeria right now, I would love to talk about it as the whole thing unfolds, because I don't have I don't have too many facts on my hands right now. So I don't want to just go off on a tandem and start speaking of what I don't actually have in-depth knowledge about.
Okay. And Simon, what about you? What is your relation with war? Have you had any experience?
My relation with war is most wars are just business, from what I see. People have something, and somebody else wants it, and the man with the biggest stick usually wins. And that's what I would say. My experience of war is, regardless of the campaign, throughout history, you can see that that's what's the bottom line kind of thing. You have something, I want it, you won't give it to me, I take it, and I use my might to get what you have. As you will probably explain in your later on in your topic of today.
So, September 27th, Azerbaijan started to attack. And I want to make sure that everyone understands the scale of it. Armenia is 3 million people only. I mean, less than 3 million, 2.5 million. And Armenia is fighting against 4 powers. Azerbaijan, 10 million people. Turkey is supporting Azerbaijan with 83 million people. I mean, publicly they're supporting. There's no, it's not hidden. And also they hired jihadi terrorists from Syria to fight against Armenians. And there are sophisticated Israeli drones, which I'm going to talk about it later on, because psychologically they're changing the game of the war. So I want to ask you guys to see, how do you think, like, Azerbaijan spent billions of dollars in their military. They build up its armed force and its modern sophisticated military. Why would they need mercenaries who don't even speak the language? Because these mercenaries are speaking Arabic and Azerbaijani are speaking Turkish. They don't even know the territory, because Karabakh area is a very mountainous area. So why would a government outsource their patriotic duty? Can you come up with an idea about it?
It's easier to lose people who you don't have to be accountable for. It's mercenaries. Yeah. Mercenaries are the most effective in one sense, because you can do what you want as long as you have the money to pay them, and you can get the job done. And then you haven't lost your public opinion, your public favor, because no people of your nation has lost children. No women are crying because of their lost children. No fathers are upset.
They tapped to the voice recordings of missionaries that they're talking, and they're saying, actually there's one on BBC, and BBC posted it as well, that they're saying, there's missionaries, they're saying they lied to us. We thought we're working on a security job, but then they lied to us. They brought us here. They're not even feeding us properly, and we need to kill them very brutally. So it's very sad what's happening. They came, I think, for money, and they're not even getting paid the money that they were supposed to be getting. And now when it's ceasefire, well, they're not respecting the ceasefire. And Red Cross cannot go and exchange the bodies because, as you said, Azerbaijanis, they don't even care about the missionary bodies, so they don't care if they have it or not. So the situation is very complex and very dirty, actually. I think it's a very dirty war.
If you're saying the mercenaries aren't being paid, they're not going to be mercenaries for very long. So I don't know how true that is, but if you're paying someone to do a job and it's risking their life and they're cold killers and you don't pay them and don't supply with their needs, you're going to have a bigger problem than you thought you had for the people that you wanted to be removed.
Yeah, Macron said it as well. Macron said it in his talk too, that they did their investigation and they found out that there are mercenaries fighting the war, and they're gonna do some. They say they're gonna talk with Azerbaijan, and but I don't know how much of these talks can go somewhere. But no, there is all this evidence, and hopefully we'll get something out of it. Somebody will do something there. So, Nelson, do you have something to say about it? Since you
know, Matilda, I mean, when you have a mercenary army, first of all, like Simon said, if they're not paying those guys, they're not going to be there for very long. The second thing is it's very easy to be brave with someone else's blood.
Yeah.
Okay. And as far as them not understanding the language and the culture, I mean, sometimes that might apply, sometimes it doesn't. They're there to fight, I would imagine. They're there to fight. And Azerbaijan's looking for allies, right? So there's a bunch of different ways you can get allies. So they just hired some allies. And that's all there is to it. They just hired some allies.
It's very interesting when we talk about Armenian soldiers because, they're not paid. I mean, they're not professional soldiers. They're like the regular, I don't know, it's the teacher, it's the DJ, it's the singer, it's the engineer, whoever is around, whoever men are around and they know how to maybe deal with weapon. They're right now volunteering their life for Armenia right now. So because for them it's a matter of existence. They're fighting for their existence. It's not a territory that their grandparents were living in this land. So I think the attitude is very different for Armenian soldiers. Their pride is to exist and to continue to fight. So I'm gonna give you guys another element here to think about. As of 23rd of October, Genocide Watch, it's an organization, genocidewatch.com, he declared a genocide emergency on indigenous Armenians of Artsakh Karabakh being committed by Azerbaijani with help of Turkey and Israel weapons. This is sadly not the first genocide and mass ethnic cleansing that the Armenians have went through. And it's not a surprise that the mastermind behind the current situation is Turkey, because Turkey at the time, Ottoman Empire, massacred, slaughtered 1.5 million Armenians in 1915. They wanted to keep 2 Armenians and put them in a museum. Well, clearly they didn't do the job well, because I'm here and you have a lot of Armenian friends around the world, in Russia, in America, in France, in Africa, in Argentina, because of this genocide. And they want to finish what they started 105 years ago. President Erdogan, leader of Turkey, has publicly promised to finish out the genocide, which is happening right now. And it's amazing that they chose this time because it's pandemic. The world is busy with, dealing with COVID, and it's, voting time for America. So the media is very busy with these 2 important elements. I want to ask you guys, what do you think Russia roles is? Because Russia, this is happening, the background of Russia. Why is UN not doing much? Why European Union, they're constantly talking, but nothing is happening? Why NATO is keeping silence? Do you guys have any idea about it? Or any opinion?
People get involved in wars for their own interest. We see that time and time again.
Yes.
You have to ask yourself, what does your country have? You know, if you need help and you want someone to risk their life to help you, unless it's a spare of the moment thing, like, you know, you're going to get hit by a car or whatever, and they're going to jump in the way and grab you or what have you, they're going to say, well, what's in it for me? If I don't help you, you die, I get to take your land anyway.
But, you know, Russia needs to worry about if their terrorists are fighting the war. I mean, it's very close to his territory.
Yeah, but
Don't
the
you think
population, what's your population?
Less than 3 million.
Look at Russia's population. They're not going to have a hard time squashing you.
That's not fair. I mean, we've been helping them with their. We gave a lot of generals to them. You know,
Yeah,
for World War II, we were fighting for them, with them.
Yeah, but that was then. World War II, what's that, 70, 80 years ago? You're still talking about that? They're not going to worry about that. You was part of them, but you're not now. That's how they look at it.
Basically, you're saying because we don't have a lot of natural resources, we're not an important topic for the world to care about?
For governments to care about.
Matilda, if I jump in there was this I think it's this morning show on CNN a couple of days ago during this week, and one of these guys from, I don't know if it's a White House reporter or something like that, I don't know, but he was saying, they were asking about what's going on in Nigeria, and the whole world is just like keeping mute. He said it plain. It's not, the Black West Africa is not just a priority. So, being for Armenia to be in Russia's backyard, maybe it's not a priority yet for Russia until maybe one or two world powers come in and they start like. But my thing is, why is this really, really important to you, anyways?
What do you mean? Why is it important? That's my country. I mean, they're going to wipe out Armenia. I mean, I'm not going to have a country.
You don't live there.
No, but
you don't live there.
Who I am. I'm Armenian. That's who I am.
Yeah.
They're gonna wipe out my identity, my language. I've been living there for more than 6,000 years. How can I say, oh, I mean, we are the first Christian in the world, 301. How can the world not care about it? We are a very strong nation. We were one of the oldest ones. And I'm sorry, we gave a lot of time to
your language goes on and your culture goes on because you've got Armenians living around the world. You're one of them.
No. Can you tell that to a Jewish person?
I don't know any Jewish people. But it's still the same thing. Their language went on. Well, they lost Israel how many thousand years ago? They got themselves together after the war and they went and took it back.
But how is their life now?
Oh,
they're constantly fighting with Palestine.
Yeah, because that's another issue. Because they went and took it back and didn't probably take it back in the best way form. But they're kind of happy because they have influence. and they've got a piece of land which they say is theirs.
Well, Simon, I think I'm trying to be very collected right now. I will be very. I mean, I'm sure if there were other Armenians here that would feel very angry about this subject as well. I'm sure that you're not telling me in a bad way. You're just questioning the concept. But you know, this is my land. It's an
Right.
amazing country. I want to have a country. I want to go to Armenia constantly. And these are innocent people that they're gonna die. For what? For who?
All right, Matilda, can I ask you something?
Yes.
How would you solve the problem, the situation? How would you solve it?
I think there is the tragedy of Nagorno-Karabakh has only one solution. The international recognition of the independence of Artsakh-Karabakh, same as the international recognition of Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia. You understand? I think that's the only solution.
So let's say everybody recognise that those words, yeah. What then happens?
Then nothing. Armenians.
People are still fighting.
No.
Yeah, think about it. Because everybody knew who Germany was, everybody knew who Hitler, Poland, all these different places, but they still fought. So recognizing, how's that going to solve the issue?
Well, recognizing that's the first step, at least.
Yeah, but I'm asking you, how are you going to solve the issue?
And I'm sorry, somebody needs to stop Erdogan. Somebody needs to stop Aliyev. So they need to stop it. Yeah. They need to stop it because another genocide will happen.
Okay.
Are you familiar with Pan-Turkism?
Well, I assume it's the same concept of Pan-Africanism.
Yeah, it's a fascism. And we cannot allow that happen to the world. The world cannot see another Hitler. Is everyone okay to see another Hitler in this world?
Well, I don't know enough about the guy to say he's a Hitler or he's not a Hitler. Obviously, there's some personal issues here that you're not happy with. But
it's not personal, Simon. It's what he's doing.
That's what you said. It's your people, so it should be personal. But what I'm looking at and thinking is, you're trying to solve an issue here. Who's going to risk their life to save your people? Because that's ultimately what it's coming down to.
Listen, America just needs to stop it, like saying, okay, Turkey, stop it. And I'm sure Turkey will stop. Or Putin needs to just say, you know, stop it. And they will stop. I'm sure they will. I mean, who is the most powerful countries in the world?
All right. Do you realize that America needs allies? And in that part of the world, as an Islamic ally, Turkey plays a big role for America.
Yeah, but I think they are changing right now to go to Greece.
But Greece is not Muslim.
Yeah.
Islamic. So you need a big, strong Islamic ally. That's Turkey. So why are they going to go against their ally? Do you understand? So what I'm saying is,
I don't know, maybe for humanitarian stuff, because they are doing against humans.
Yes, but you want people to risk their life to save a group of humans, and they have no interest in them. There's nothing for them to gain. So you're going to turn to an American mother and say, I want your son to come over here and risk his life for 3.5 million people. And she's going to say, why? Why should my son go there? He's here to defend us.
I'm sorry, your son was there collecting oil in Iraq.
What's that got to do with this situation?
No, it's the same. Why is America in other countries' business?
Yeah, but what I'm pointing out to you, one is business, one is not. The British
I don't know
government
what
said we
Armenia
fight
can
for our
offer right
country's
now.
interests.
So,
We-
Matilda, I've got a question here. I mean, what would be the things that people could do, just the average layperson could do, to bring attention to, to bring attention to this part of the world? What could be something that the average person could do?
Well, I think it's very interesting that you asked, Nelson. They can educate themselves about this topic so they realize what's going on in the world. Turkey and Azerbaijan, they are filtering their news and they're sharing, I mean, not true stuff to the world. So maybe they have to realize that there are lies coming up from this side, and they can make decisions themselves. They can do their own research. There are innocent human beings that they're dying in Armenia.
Yeah, but Matilda, one second. But what is it that a person can do? Okay, a person is going to educate themselves. Okay, which I really don't. I think people don't. There has to be a trigger to tell a person, "Hey, I'm interested in finding out about this." Right? There's got to be something to say, "Hey, I'm interested in finding out." Okay, I'm curious. All right. So that's the first thing. That's got to be the trigger. Then people get interested. So, one, how do we get people interested? And two, what are the top 2, 3, 4, 5 things that a person can do to say, "Hey, this should stop. This should slow down." I mean, what are the top things that a person could possibly do?
I think they can post it on their social media so we can raise awareness about this topic. They
Okay.
can try lobbying. They can try to force their governments to recognize Artsakh, to recognize the independence of Karabakh. So
Of
I
where?
think these are the independence of Karabakh.
And that's Armenia, right?
Well, this is the key. They were all Armenian land, and there are Armenian people there for 5,000 years. And then Stalin comes in Soviet Union. He becomes in 1921. He's like, oh, let's give this part of the land to Azerbaijan. Might as well. You have to remember, Azerbaijan was built in 1918. Like Coca-Cola is older than Azerbaijan. So he gives this land to Azerbaijan. At that time, in Soviet time, borders weren't meaning that much because it was under the SSI. And then before collapsing, this part of the land wanted to go back to Armenia and wanted to have its independence. Between 1988 till 1994, Karabakh and Armenia were fighting against Azerbaijan for the land and became independent. But somehow they are not respecting the boundaries again, and 20 years later, it started again. So this part, Karabakh, which Armenians are living, they just want to be independent. That's the only way that the world can be okay with this, to be, against Azerbaijan. That's the only way we can keep that land, if it's independent. So we want the recognition of independences.
From the sound of it, you're going to always have problems. You're a small country, and you haven't got a means to defend yourself.
Yes, we always relied on Russia, but unfortunately, Russia right now is selling weapons to both sides.
Then why don't you go back to Russia then?
I think Russia doesn't like the president right now that we have. I don't know, because mean,
if you had peace under Russia, then go and be part of Russia again.
But then Russia takes advantage from us.
Oh,
Doesn't
life.
allow to do a lot of things.
It's life. Do you see what I mean? You can't survive on your own, you're having problems, then you've got to go to somebody for a price. You can't have it both ways.
Okay. Well, this is, I mean, this is something that, obviously the leaders have to think about it, because we don't want to be under influence of Russia that much. We want to just to be an independent country with independent people. But quite obviously, we don't have the strength of it. Yes.
Let me make a suggestion now. In the past 2 weeks, there have been worldwide protests for the end of police brutality in Nigeria. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So now you have this platform, you have your podcast, you have the power of social media at your disposal. They used in Nigeria, they used this hashtag called EndSARS. So I would suggest you connect with Armenians all over the world that are in the diaspora and start the hashtag.
Yeah, I mean,
Start a hashtag. That would be my suggestion, to bring awareness for people to be more that might be a trigger that Nelson is talking about. Why people need to educate themselves, because they start seeing these hashtags, they might be more inquisitive to just want to find out what is this all about, and that's where they can start educating themselves.
well, we have a lot of hashtags. We have a lot of hashtags, but seems like maybe it's not enough, because if you guys haven't seen it, that means, I mean, I'm seeing it because obviously I have a lot of Armenian friends, but if you guys haven't seen it, that means we're not doing the job well enough, so lots of people can see it. We do have hashtags. Recognize Artsakh. We have Peace for Armenians.
Right.
Artsakh Strong.
So Matilda, let me tell you.
The biggest celebrity from Armenia that is out, that is in the diaspora, do they use the hashtag?
We have System of Down, Serj Tankian. I don't know if you guys know the band. We have Alex Ohanian, the IT guy. Yes.
Matilda, I'll tell you, Victor's idea is fantastic. I mean, the biggest Armenian known, why am I going like this with my hands, right? No pun intended. So that Armenian, that voluptuous, talk about Coca-Cola, right? Is that Coca-Cola looking Armenian, is her hashtag anything having to do with the conflict?
You're talking about Kim Kardashian.
Strong possibility that I'm talking about her. So
I have to check. I don't know. I think yes, Armenians need to be connect with her, because she has a lot of followers. I mean, more than 80 million, I think.
But you see, so that's,
she has more followers than Armenians.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, there's more people that follow her than there are Armenians.
Yeah.
In the diaspora or in Armenia. Okay. So that's something, and you gotta, again, Victor hit it right there, the head on the, and this is something that grows over time. I mean, look, my family is from South America. In Colombia, okay, Colombia had a huge problem with the FARC. It's a guerrilla organization. They had practically controlled a big part of Colombia, except for the 5 major cities. I mean, they had the whole country on lockdown, Colombia. And there was a school, a grade school, kids, grades like 3 through 6 or something, had a program with some other grade school in Colombia, where they would write letters to each other, and then the letters would go back and forth, And that school in Colombia was attacked. The Colombian army was fighting in there with the FARC, the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia. And during that battle, it was a battle. The students, their parents, they ran into a church. The church got bombed. There was an accident. But it was a horrible thing. It was horrible. I mean, kids died, whole families died. The church was attacked. They launched cylinder bombs at each other. Well, the FARC launched cylinder bombs, and a lot of the kids, their pen pal mates were killed or wounded. So so they did something that kids do. I've done this. They wrote a letter to their congressman and to their senator. Hey, this is happening.
I mean,
one second, let me finish. And so their congressman and senator, I mean, your job is to, find out what's going on with your constituents. So all these kids were complaining. And so the congressman and the senator, they did what they're supposed to do. They wrote a letter. Hey, we're going to go to Colombia for a fact-finding trip. And the Colombian government said, we don't know if we can guarantee your security. Wrong answer to say that to a U.S. senator and to you as a congressman, because Colombia was getting a nice little check in military aid. And their reply was, maybe we should reconsider our military aid package to you. All of a sudden, they could guarantee the security for anybody. So they went, they saw, and guess what? For about 4 or 5 years, Colombia became the third largest recipient of U.S. military aid. First is Egypt, second is Israel, third was Colombia. Was it just because those kids wrote those letters? No. But I can tell you what, those kids writing those letters got that congressman and senator to fly down there. That made that happen. Okay? That definitely made that happen. And it was just a bunch of kids writing letters. Just kids writing letters. And these guys were naive enough to say, or arrogant enough to say, we can't guarantee your safety. And their reply is, if we're going, there's a check that follows us. And that check might stop too. And guess what? Colombia became the third largest recipient of U.S. military aid. Okay, enough of that.
Interesting, Nelson. Thank you for sharing. I want to just share one quick point, and I thought it was very fascinating, and you guys might think it interesting as well. There is this guy called Emil Gesson. He's a British former Royal Marine. That he served in different wars. Also, right now, he's a British journalist. He's a filmmaker and documentary for wars. He went to a front line. Right now, he's in Armenia. And he said one thing that is very different than other wars is they're using Israeli drones. And these drones, it's a kamikaze drones, and it makes a noise. And maybe once or twice a day drops a bomb. But because of the sound, people are scared, because when they hear the sound, they don't know exactly where this drone gonna fly or where exactly this drone is. So most of the days, people are they are just trying to find the shelter, whereas the bomb is not even released. So they're controlling people with the sound. So it's very interesting how they're affecting the people psychologically. I thought that can be interesting. They're not even spending money. They're just putting this drone to fly, and then all these people are scared, and maybe once or twice they drop the bomb. I'm looking at the comments, and one of the people were saying something very interesting. Yeah, Russia needs to separate Turkey and Azerbaijan. It's not its own interest to have a united, because they want to get united. That's pan-Turkism. They want to unite all the Turkic-speaking countries together. So Armenia is a strategic location. That's why Turkey is involved, because they want to wipe out, they want to ethnic cleanse Armenians, because they want to get united with Azerbaijan. So I believe it's Russia's best interest to have Armenia there. Otherwise, they're going to get united. See, there are some reasons for Russia. Simon.
I believe Russia knows what they're doing. Russia's good at chess. That's their thing. Yeah, they know how to play the game. They play it very well, especially against America. Look at it, they put Trump in office.
Very good.
That's
Okay.
about as strategic as you can get.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, guys, we're end of our session. It was lovely to talk to you guys. I'm gonna continue my podcast from today on. This couple of actually till end of the war. Hopefully, it will be soon. To talk about to bring some light about this topic. But thank you for sharing this topic with me, and we will get back to our audience with another show with Podcasters Unleashed next Monday. Do we know the topic, Simon?
We will get back to you. There will be a poster that's going to be pushed out on Wednesday.
Very good.
And it will let everybody know the information.
Look,
Very
I can tell
good.
you what the topic's going to be. The topic is going to be something you don't want to miss. Okay, that's the topic.
Good.
It's something you don't want to miss. There you go.
Okay, Nelson, from Investing in America, we have Victor with, I cannot see yours. Victor is
The Diaspora Entrepreneurs Podcast.
Diaspora Entrepreneur, yes, from Nigeria. You're going to be in Nigeria again next week?
Yeah.
Very good. And we have Carla for Wonder and Wellbeing, and Simon, Investing in America. Okay, I'll see you guys next week then.
And I'm going to have Kim Kardashian here on my lap. Okay.